Sampling is where reports win credibility, so record rationale, population size, selection method, and objective outcomes in a way another person could replicate without you. Begin with a population definition that uses concrete objects, systems in scope by role, privileged users by group, changes by class, vulnerabilities by severity bands, and state the count as of a date, not an estimate. Choose a method appropriate to the risk and frequency: random selection, stratified sampling, or full population review where automation exists, and write one sentence on why the method fits the objective. For each sample, capture the unique identifier, the artifact reviewed, the verification steps taken, and the observed result in neutral language. If failures appear, tie them to remediation tickets with dates and retest evidence rather than burying them in prose. Sampling notes belong in the evidence pack as CSV or table exports, as well as in the ROC narrative, because assessors and acquirers often ask to sort or reanalyze. When sampling is transparent, objections shrink. When it is implied, debates grow. Segmentation deserves its own clarity pass, because fuzzy boundaries create rework. Document validation procedures that show both cannot and can results across the boundary pairs that matter. For cannot, store command outputs, packet traces, or flow log queries that demonstrate denied routes from non-cardholder zones to CDE assets, including management interfaces. For can, show the exact permitted flows, source, destination, protocol, and port, with logs or captures from a normal operating period that match firewall or security group rules. Add access reviews for devices enforcing the boundary, with approvers, dates, and multi-factor authentication noted. Finish with a residual risk statement in plain words, such as acknowledging a monitored, time-bound exception during a migration, or a tightly fenced shared service with additional controls. In the ROC, present the procedure, show the evidence, and write the outcome. In the AOC, state the assurance level and window. Segmentation that is tested, logged, and narrated clearly seldom gets reopened. Exceptions and remediation are not blemishes. They are opportunities to prove the program corrects itself. Capture each exception with a short card, requirement reference, description, detection date, discovered by whom, business impact, compensating safeguards, remediation steps, target date, owner, and current status. Attach the ticket history and add retest evidence with a fresh timestamp once closed. If a compensating control framework or targeted risk analysis applies, include the method, factors considered, approval, monitoring plan, and review results. In the ROC, avoid euphemism. Write exactly what failed and exactly what fixed it, then state why residual risk is acceptable. In the AOC, reflect the qualified or unqualified posture accurately and cross-reference the deeper narrative. Reviewers trust packets that name flaws and show dated closures. They distrust packets that read like marketing copy. Precision builds credit you can spend when time is short near signature. Third-party reliance is a strength only if you reconcile provider attestations to your own scope with a fine-toothed comb. Place each provider's AOC, service description, and scope diagram next to your channel and data flow diagrams, then mark which control objectives are inherited and which remain local. Note gaps explicitly. If the provider's attestation excludes a feature you use, state how you compensate locally and show the evidence. If the provider relies on a sub-processor, name the fourth party and record how your provider oversees it, including change notifications and incident cooperation clauses. In the ROC, write this as a shared responsibility map rather than a claim that the provider handles security. In the AOC, summarize reliance and confirm you have verified coverage against usage. This reconciliation prevents last-minute rewrites when a reviewer notices a control objective that fell between organizations. It also shortens renewal because the same map becomes the onboarding material for new stakeholders. Policies and procedures anchor intent, but only matching practice earns trust, so ensure versions align with observed behaviors and training proof by date. For each policy referenced in the report, include the effective version, formal approval date, and the procedure that implements it. Then show an artifact from recent operations, change ticket, review log, scan result that demonstrates the procedure ran as written. Where staff actions matter, attach training acknowledgments or completion records scoped to the roles that perform the control, dated within the period. Avoid stale screenshots of repositories. Show a living system with the same names and fields the narrative cites. If you updated a policy mid-period, note the change and confirm the date from which the new rule applied. Then choose samples that reflect the correct rule for each interval. Reviewers rarely argue with evidence that shows a policy in one window and the matching practice in that same window. They often argue with timeless policy PDFs and undated habits. Standardize screenshots, logs, and tickets as if you were creating a miniature laboratory, because format discipline reduces questions. Every screenshot should include the system identifier, context navigation, user identity where safe to display, and a visible timestamp. Every log extract should show source, destination, event class, clock source alignment, and the time range reviewed, with an explanation for any redactions. Every ticket should include requester, approver, action user or asset, date and time, and the closure resolution linked to the control objective it satisfies. Package these artifacts in consistent file names that encode requirement reference, system, and date. Then use the same convention in the ROC hyperlinking or appendix labels. This sounds fussy until you watch an assessor fly through your packet because they never have to ask, "When was this?" or "Whose system is this?" Format discipline is a quiet superpower. Executives sign the attestation, so brief them on responsibilities, residual qualifiers, and the story the packet tells in language they can repeat in a meeting. Explain that the AOC is a legal statement used by acquirers, brands, and partners to make decisions. It must match reality, and known exceptions must be named. Walk through the scope summary, the reliance on providers, the segmentation stance, and any qualified statements that remain, and show where evidence sits if questions arise. Then confirm the renewal window, the monitoring cadences that keep controls alive, and the plan to address any lingering items with dates and owners. This is not theatrics, it is governance. When leaders understand what they are signing, they can defend the organization's posture and support remediation swiftly if something needs funding. Reviewers hear this clarity in follow-up calls, and it shortens the path to acceptance. Submission format and sequence matter because different assessors and acquirers expect different packaging. Ask early for the preferred structure, file limits, naming conventions, secure transfer methods, and whether hyperlinks inside documents will be preserved. Deliver the ROC with a tidy appendix and a table of contents that maps requirement families to artifact collections. Then submit the AOC in the exact program form with accurate signatures and dates. Include a cover letter that lists included files, their purpose, and the checksum or hash for each archive so receipt verification is easy. If the program requires separate confidentiality handling for certain diagrams or inventories, follow it precisely to avoid resubmission cycles. Treat delivery like a release, version it, log it, and store the sent set in your internal archive for reference. Professional packaging reduces friction and signals that your control over details extends beyond security settings to evidence handling. After you submit, protect future you by scheduling a lessons learned that improves next cycle efficiency while the work is still fresh in everyone's mind. Invite assessors if they will join, or at least capture their formal feedback verbatim. Then compare it to your internal checklist and evidence pack structure. Identify 3 categories: artifacts that were perfect and should be templated, artifacts that created questions and need format or content upgrades, and artifacts that were painful to collect and should be automated or generated by systems on Cadence. Assign owners to build or tune templates, adjust procedures, or automate exports, and set near-term deadlines so improvements land before memories fade. Store these decisions next to your scoping and change control notes. They are operational commitments, not meeting minutes. The next cycle's speed will be the sum of today's small investments. Tie everything back to the steady cadence you have practiced across episodes: scope, control, evidence, validation. The ROC is the long-form demonstration that this cadence lived during the window. Scope is expressed by diagrams and inventories that match the environment people can see. Control is expressed by policies and procedures that name actors and actions in plain words. Evidence is expressed by dated artifacts, configs, logs, tickets, reports, stored where they can be found. Validation is expressed by sampling and tests with objective outcomes, plus remediation that closes gaps and leaves retest proof behind. The AOC is the formal declaration that this lived reality satisfies the program's expectation. When the cadence is present, submissions feel inevitable. When it is missing, prose grows and trust shrinks. As you assemble your packet, remember that readers reward clarity over flourish. Avoid slogans, compress meaning into short actor-action-outcome sentences, and align every paragraph to a visible artifact. If a sentence does not point to something a stranger can open and verify, rewrite it or remove it. Collect time synchronization evidence so clocks agree across logs. Include one stitched timeline for a sample incident or change to show how artifacts align. And check that the names of systems and roles match everywhere. These small moves create the feeling reviewers call coherence, and coherence shortens questions. It also prepares you for real events, because the same packet that earns an attestation is the packet your team will use to reconstruct what happened when the room is loud. Close today by booking 2 calendar blocks, one to run your internal checklist against the current year's evidence folders, and one to schedule a brief cross-team lessons learned a week after submission. Add a small task today. Choose a single control family and rebuild its folder to the standard you want everywhere. Requirement, claim, cadence, artifacts, sampling notes, and a 2-sentence outcome you could paste into the ROC tomorrow. Then choose one upstream provider and refresh the reconciliation of their AOC against your usage, noting any gaps and compensating measures with dates and owners. These low-friction steps start the machine that makes clean submissions feel routine. Clean and complete ROC and AOC packets are not the work of a frantic month. They are the harvest of a year of quiet, dated, and verified decisions that you can show to anyone who asks. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.